Welcome to the bookcase. Today we're going to be talking about Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy was an English novelist and poet. There we go, English novelist and poet who was part of the naturalism movement, also influenced by Romanticism. He, like Charles Dickens, focused on being highly critical of the Victorian society that they lived in, but Hardy, unlike Dickens, focused more on the rural aspects that he saw. And Tess of the D'Urbervilles is no exception. And I guess the novel of the book is, if life gives you lemons, it probably squeezes the juice all over your paper cuts. And you'll see what I mean in a second, as here comes a video montage of the movie of Tess of the D'Urbervilles, which is actually a mini-series, so basically like a 4-hour-long movie, but it's really good. And here's some images from that, so you get to know what happened. Boom!
This is Tess D'Urberville. Early in the book, her family learns that they are descendants of the aristocratic D'Urberville family. Tessa's parents sent her to claim kin from a wealthy branch of the D'Urbervilles. She ends up working at their country estate where Alec D'Urberville attempts to seduce her. Unsuccessful, he resorts to raping her. Tess goes back home and bears a son whom she names Sorrow. Sorrow dies young of illness. Time passes and Tess moves away to forget her troubles. She works at a dairy farm as a milkmaid where she meets Angel Clare. They fall in love and get married, but on their wedding night, Tess blabs about her past and Angel is horrified that she is not a virgin as he comes from a religious family. He leaves to pursue his goal of farming in the Americas without Tess. While Angel is away, Tess returns home to find that her father is very ill. He dies and their family becomes homeless. Alec D'Urberville meets Tess again and she tells him of Sorrow, and he makes a generous offer that will save Tess's family. Alec convinces Tess that Angel is gone, so she marries him. Angel returns from South America and finds Tess. He hadn't written because he had contracted yellow fever while abroad. Tess murders Alec because he lied to her about Angel. She and Angel run away. They spend some happy time together before being caught by the authorities at Stonehenge. Tess is hanged. Angel fulfills her last wish by getting together with her little sister Liza Lou.
Yes, I am in my Mickey onesie because that was just so depressing. What could cause so many terrible things to happen to one person? It was obviously due to complications of the rape, but what caused the rape? Was it individuals and their actions and decisions, or a higher cause? This fate versus free will theme is debated throughout the text, as Hardy's opinion of whether it was in fact fate or free will that caused the incident is just as ambiguous as his depiction of the rape itself. We don't even know that it occurred until after the fact when we learn that Tess has a child. Different pieces of evidence within the text, when analyzed, provide support toward either the fate or the free will side of the argument, starting with two pieces of foreshadowing even before the event occurs. The first being that when we first meet Tess, she's in a May Day celebration dancing in the meadow with other young women. They're all wearing white dresses, white obviously to depict purity and innocence, but Tess, unlike the other women, is wearing a red hair ribbon. This color represents sin, sexuality, and even death. So we know that something pretty bad is going to happen to Tess that isn't going to happen to the other ladies. Also, Tess's mother is very superstitious. She uses a book called The Complete Fortune Teller to predict Tess's future. She decides that Tess is going to marry a gentleman. This points toward Alec D'Urberville. So, with those two pieces of information in mind, we know something pretty bad is going to happen involving Alec and Tess. Here are a few passages from page 58 to either support fate or free will. The first one being, "But, might some say, where was Tess's guardian angel? Where was the providence of her simple faith? Perhaps, like that other God, he was talking, or he was pursuing, or he was in a journey, or he was sleeping and not to be awakened." So basically this passage says that providence is sleeping, that fate has turned a blind eye towards Tess and her situation. So it is solely the responsibility of those involved that it has occurred, a free will statement. But just 2 paragraphs later, Hardy uses the word doomed, which obviously alludes to fate. Another fate statement is when Hardy says that Tess's rape is an echo of the wrong committed by her D'Urberville ancestors, and that the sins of these ancestors are being revisited upon her. But it's not just a D'Urberville thing, it's a human nature thing. Come on, it's not a new story that a rich man is taking advantage of a poor helpless woman. So whether Tess is fated by her ancestry or just the fact that this stuff happens, She was fated in one way or another. The last statement is that as Tess's own people down in those retreats are never tired of saying among each other, in their fatalistic way, it was to be. There lie the pity of it. So, ambiguity within the ambiguity here, as we don't know whether Hardy is saying that it's a pity that Tess got raped, or it's a pity that people blame so many things on fate. So this is his way of being highly critical of the Victorian society, including the thought of the time that history determines your future. And because of this, I think that the final conclusion is that Tess was fated to be raped. But like any good heroine, Tess attempts to escape the horrors of her fate, unfortunately through the act of killing Alec. On a side note, the lady downstairs notices the oblong white ceiling with this scarlet blot in the midst had the appearance of a gigantic ace of hearts, more red and white imagery. So not only is it the guilt and the sin staining the innocence, but the shape of a heart. Alec broke Tess's heart, but Tess stabbed him in the heart. So more ambiguity as to whose guilt is represented by the bloodstain. But in killing Alex, Tess frees herself from one fate, but yet condemns herself to another. She's executed. So, there you have it, the tragedy that is Tess of the D'Urbervilles. Thanks for joining me at the bookcase.
Oh, the snow, it melts the soonest when the winds begin to sing.